Justin Henderson stood leaning against the doorframe, watching his stepfather Lance load 2 heavy suitcases into the trunk of his black Cadillac. He glanced over his shoulder at Christina, who was standing a few feet away. Their eyes met for a moment, and Justin quickly looked away. "Justin, come help me with this bag," Lance called, wiping sweat from his forehead with the back of his hand. Justin pushed himself away from the doorframe and walked over to his stepfather. Lance was a tall man with broad shoulders and gray hair at his temples. Despite his 64 years, he remained physically fit and had retained the commanding tone earned through years of running his own business. "Sure," Justin replied, lifting the heavy bag and placing it next to the other luggage. Lillian Henderson, Justin's mother, came out of the house carrying a small travel bag. Her usually straight shoulders were slumped, and there were dark circles under her eyes. She had looked exhausted in recent weeks, and Justin had noticed how she often froze in the middle of her household chores, staring into space. "Did you take your headache pills?" Lance asked, taking the bag from his wife. "Yes, they're in my small makeup bag," Lillian replied quietly, adjusting the silk scarf around her neck. "Mom, are you sure you want to go?" Justin asked, moving closer. "You don't look well." Lillian tried to smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I'm fine, dear. Just a little tired. This break will do me good." Christina came over and put her arms around Lillian's shoulders. "Lillian's right. A trip to the mountains is just what she needs," she said, and Justin heard a note of concern in her voice. "Clean air, quiet, no worries." Lance closed the trunk and walked around the car to the driver's door. "We'll be back tomorrow evening," he said, looking at the children. "Christina, don't forget to water the flowers in the backyard." "I won't forget, Dad," Christina replied, tucking a stray strand of hair behind her ear. "And Justin," Lance continued, "no parties while we're gone. The last time I came back from a business trip, the neighbors complained about the noise." Justin tensed. It wasn't true. He had never thrown a party at Lance's house. He wanted to argue, but he kept quiet. 3 years of living together had taught him that arguing with Lance was pointless. "Yes, sir," was all he said. Lillian hugged her son, and Justin felt her tremble slightly. She smelled of her favorite perfume, notes of jasmine and vanilla, a scent he had associated with home long before they moved into Lance Henderson's mansion. "Take care of yourself, sweetheart," she whispered in his ear, adding more quietly, "and Christine too." Justin nodded, feeling a strange heaviness in his chest. Lillian got into the passenger seat, and Lance got behind the wheel. The Cadillac's engine roared and the car slowly pulled out onto the street. Justin and Christine stood on the driveway, waving after the receding car until it disappeared around the corner. As soon as the car was out of sight, Justin felt the tension leave his body. He turned to Christina. Her dark eyes were already looking at him with an expression he had learned to recognize over the past 6 months. "They won't be back until tomorrow evening," she said, taking a step toward him. Justin glanced back at the empty street, then took her hand and led her into the house. As soon as the door closed behind them, Christina pressed herself against him, wrapping her arms around his neck. "I've been waiting for this all day," she whispered, before their lips met. They kissed in the dark hallway, and Justin could feel his heart pounding in his chest. Every time it was like jumping off a cliff, a mixture of adrenaline, fear, and unbridled desire. His hand slid under her blouse, feeling the warmth of her skin. "Not here," Christina whispered, pulling away. "Let's go upstairs." They climbed the stairs, holding hands, and headed for Christina's room. Unlike the Spartan decor of Justin's room, her bedroom was full of color and life. Photos on the walls, books scattered on the desk, clothes hanging from the back of a chair. Christina closed the door and turned to him. In the dim light filtering through the drawn curtains, her skin looked velvety and her eyes darker than usual. She slowly unbuttoned her blouse, never taking her eyes off his face. Justin stepped toward her, and the world around them ceased to exist. Afterwards, they lay on the crumpled sheets, and Justin stared at the ceiling, listening to his breathing gradually slow down. He turned his head and saw Christina's profile, the delicate line of her nose, her full lips, her long eyelashes. She was irresistible, and sometimes he couldn't believe she had chosen him. "What are you thinking about?" Christina asked, turning toward him. Justin ran his finger down her shoulder, watching the goosebumps run across her skin. "About how strange everything is," he replied. "3 years ago, we didn't even know each other existed." Christina smiled, dimples appearing on her cheeks. "And now we're a family, in a way." Justin remembered the day his mother announced she was marrying Lance Henderson. It had come as a bolt from the blue. He knew his mother had been dating since his father died, but he didn't think she was in a serious relationship. And then suddenly she was engaged to a man Justin had never even met. "Do you remember how they met?" he asked, looking at the photo on the bedside table, where Lance and Lillian stood side by side against the backdrop of the ocean. Christina rolled onto her stomach, propping her head up with her hands. "Dad never told me the details. All I know is that they met at some charity event." Justin nodded. "Mom said he came up to her at the end of the evening and asked why such a beautiful woman was standing alone in the corner." Justin smiled. "It sounds like something out of a cheap romance novel, but I guess it worked." "My father can be charming when he wants to be," Christina said, and Justin detected a hint of bitterness in her voice. "You don't like their marriage?" he asked, sitting down on the bed. Christina shrugged, and her naked back, covered with beads of sweat, glistened in the dim light. "It's not that. It's just—" She paused, searching for the right words. "Sometimes I think Dad had other reasons for marrying Lillian besides love. He was never a romantic." "What reasons?" "I don't know. Maybe he was just tired of being alone. It's been 8 years since Mom died, and all these years he's been immersed in his work. Or maybe—" She fell silent again. "What?" "Maybe he needed a family for his public image. A businessman with a successful company, a beautiful wife, and 2 grown children. The perfect picture for his business partners." Justin frowned. He had never thought of it that way. For him, the wedding had been just an unexpected turn in his life that had brought him and his mother to a big house in a prestigious neighborhood. And she had introduced him to Christina. "What about your mother?" Christina asked. "Why do you think she married him?" Justin was silent for a moment, remembering the changes that had come over Lillian over the past 3 years. How her smile had gradually disappeared, how she had become quieter, how often she had locked herself in her room under the pretext of migraines. "I think she really fell in love at first," he finally said. "Lance was rich, confident, caring. At least he seemed that way. After so many years of loneliness and fighting for the 2 of us, she probably saw him as her salvation." He paused. "But now, I don't know. She doesn't seem like a happy woman." Christina sat down next to him, pulling the sheet up to her chest. "Have you ever talked to her about it?" "I tried a couple of times. She always says everything's fine, that she's just tired or not feeling well." Justin sighed. "Sometimes I think she's afraid." "Afraid? Of what?" "I don't know. Maybe Lance?" Christina shook her head. "My father would never raise his hand to a woman. He cares too much about his reputation. There are different ways to hurt someone," Justin said quietly. They sat in silence, shoulder to shoulder, each lost in their own thoughts. Then Christina leaned over and kissed him on the shoulder. "Let's not talk about sad things. We have the whole day to ourselves." Justin smiled and hugged her. She was right. They shouldn't waste their rare moments together on gloomy thoughts. "Would you like something to eat?" he asked. "I can make something." "Later," Christina replied, pulling him closer. Later that evening, they went down to the kitchen. Justin opened the refrigerator, looking at its contents, while Christina sat on a tall stool at the kitchen island, scrolling through her phone. "There's not much here," Justin said. "Maybe we should order something?" "Sure," Christina agreed, her eyes still on the screen. Justin noticed she was frowning as she read a message. "Is something wrong?" Christina looked up. "No, it's just Sheila asking if I want to go to the club with her tonight." "And you want to?" Justin asked, trying to keep his voice neutral. Christina put her phone down and came over to him, wrapping her arms around his waist. "The only place I want to be tonight is here with you." They ordered Chinese food and settled on the living room couch with plates and glasses of wine, turning on a movie they barely paid attention to. They talked about classes at university, plans for the summer, friends, everything except what really mattered. their relationship, and their future. When the leftovers had cooled and the bottle of wine was half empty, Christina rested her head on Justin's shoulder and said, "Remember how it all started between us?" Justin remembered. It was the day after his 20th birthday, 6 months ago. Justin woke up with a throbbing headache and a dry mouth. He had celebrated his birthday at a bar near campus and had clearly had too much to drink. He struggled to open his eyes and saw that he was not in his dorm room, but at home, in his old room, in Lance's house. He slowly sat up in bed, and the room swayed slightly before his eyes. On the bedside table was a glass of water and 2 aspirin tablets. Justin gratefully swallowed them and tried to remember how he got home. The last thing he remembered was Michael raising a toast to his 20th birthday, then a shot of tequila, another one, and then his memory cut off. He got up, pulled on a t-shirt and jeans, and left the room. The house was quiet. As he walked down the hall, he heard the sound of water running in the bathroom. The door was ajar, and through the crack, he saw Christina standing in front of the mirror. Justin froze, unable to look away. He had never thought of her that way before. Christina was his stepsister, his stepfather's daughter, nothing more. They coexisted peacefully under the same roof, polite to each other at dinner, sometimes watching movies together on weekends. Suddenly, Christina looked up and met his gaze in the mirror. She didn't scream or cover herself. She just looked at him through the reflection, and her lips slowly curved into a smile. "Good morning, birthday boy," she said, and there was something new in her voice, low, velvety notes he hadn't heard before. "How are you feeling?" Justin swallowed, feeling the color rise to his cheeks. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to peek." "But you did," Christina said, turning to face him. "And you liked what you saw." Justin didn't know what to say. His heart was pounding like crazy. "You don't remember how you got home, do you?" Christina asked, taking a step toward him. "Your friend Michael called me around 2 in the morning. He said you were drunk and couldn't make it back to the dorm. I came and picked you up and brought you here." "Thanks," was all Justin could manage. "You know, you talked a lot in the car," Christina continued, taking another step toward him. Now they were standing so close that he could feel the warmth of her body and smell her shampoo. "Very interesting things." "What did I say?" Justin asked, trying to remember, but his mind was a blank. "You said I was beautiful," Christina replied, her fingers brushing his hand, "that you sometimes think about me when you shouldn't." Justin felt his face grow even hotter. "Christina, I was drunk. I didn't—" "You told the truth," she interrupted him. "I see the way you look at me sometimes when you think I'm not looking. And you know what?" She leaned closer, her lips almost touching his ear. "I look at you too." Then she kissed him, and the world turned upside down. "That was a crazy day," Justin said, returning to the present. "I still can't believe you made the first move." Christina laughed, and the sound filled the room with warmth. "Someone had to. You were too proper, too cautious." "We're step-siblings, Christina. I thought it was wrong." "But we're not related by blood," she said, sitting up straight and looking him in the eyes. "Our parents are married, but we're not a family in the traditional sense. We never grew up together, never shared a childhood. We met as adults." Justin knew she was right. Technically, there was nothing forbidden about their relationship. And yet they hid it from everyone, especially Lance and Lillian. Were they ready to face condemnation? The potential breakup of a family? The sound of a car pulling up interrupted his thoughts. They both froze, then rushed to the window. Lance's black Cadillac was parked in the driveway. "Damn, they're back early," Christina whispered, gathering plates and glasses. "Dad said they wouldn't be back until tomorrow night." Justin helped her clear away the traces of their dinner, and they barely had time to tidy up the living room before the front door opened. Lance entered first, followed by Lillian, who looked even more exhausted than she had in the morning. "Kids, we're home," Lance announced, taking off his jacket. "Dad!" Christina ran to him and hugged him. "We weren't expecting you so early." "Your mother wasn't feeling well," Lance replied, glancing at Lillian. "A migraine. We decided to come back." Justin went over to his mother and hugged her shoulders. "Are you okay?" he asked quietly. Lillian smiled weakly. "It's nothing, dear, just a headache." Did you take your medicine? Yes, on the way home. I just need to lie down for a while. Lance joined them. I'll take Lillian upstairs, and then we can all have dinner together, he said, and it sounded more like an order than a suggestion. Of course, Christina replied. I'll make something. Lance led Lillian upstairs, and Justin noticed how his arm was wrapped around her elbow, not supporting her, but rather controlling her every step. It's strange that they came back so early, Justin said when he and Christina were alone. Mom gets migraines a lot, Christina replied, heading for the kitchen. Will you help me make dinner? They worked side by side. Justin chopped vegetables while Christina prepared pasta. They moved in unison, as if they had been doing this for years, exchanging quiet phrases and casual touches. When Lance came downstairs, they had already set the table. Lillian is resting, he said, sitting down at the head of the table. She won't be having dinner with us. Dinner was tense, broken only by the clatter of cutlery on plates and Lance's occasional questions about the kids' university classes. Justin felt his father's appraising gaze on him every time he opened his mouth and tried to say as little as possible. Justin, Lance said suddenly as they were finishing dessert, your mother is concerned about your grades. She saw your last report card from the university. Justin tensed. His grades had indeed slipped in the last semester, mainly because he had spent every free minute with Christina. I'm working on it, he replied. I had a tough organic chemistry class, but things are looking up now. I hope so, Lance said, wiping his lips with a napkin. I'm paying a lot of money for your education, and I expect results. Justin clenched his teeth. He hated it when Lance reminded him of that, as if he were a charity project rather than his wife's son. Actually, he said without thinking, my scholarship fund pays for my education. I received a merit-based grant before you married my mother. Lance's face darkened for a moment, but he quickly regained his composure. Right, he said with a forced smile. But who pays for your living expenses? Your food? Your clothes? That roof over your head wasn't free. Dad! Christina interjected. Justin's just tired. We've both been working hard lately. Lance looked at his daughter, and his expression softened. Of course, dear. I just want you both to succeed. He rose from the table. I'll check on Lillian and you two clean up. When he left the room, Justin exhaled. I don't understand how you grew up with him, he said quietly, gathering the plates. He wasn't always like this, Christina replied, helping him. Something broke in him after Mom died. He became harder, controlling. They carried the dishes to the kitchen and washed them in silence, each lost in their own thoughts. Later that evening, lying in bed, Justin heard a soft knock on the door. He knew it was Christina, but he couldn't invite her in with Lance and Lillian in the house. Instead, he wrote her a note. Meet me in the garden in an hour, when everyone's asleep. The university clinic greeted Justin with the cold light of fluorescent lamps and the smell of antiseptic. He sat on the edge of a paper-covered couch, tapping his fingers nervously on his knee. It was a routine medical exam, a standard procedure that all students underwent at the beginning of the semester. Nothing special. The office door opened, and Dr. Tamika Freeman entered. She was new to the university clinic, a tall woman with short dreadlocks and piercing eyes behind thin-rimmed glasses. Justin had never seen her before. Mr. Henderson? She asked, looking through the papers in a folder. Yes, that's me, Justin replied. Dr. Freeman sat down in the chair opposite him and placed the folder on the table. All your standard tests are normal, she said, flipping through the pages. Blood pressure, cholesterol, sugar, everything's fine. Justin nodded. He wanted to get this over with and go to his meeting with Christina. They hadn't seen each other much in the last few days. She had exams, and he was working on an organic chemistry project. However, Dr. Freeman continued, and something in her voice made Justin tense. There is one problem. She looked up from the papers and looked him straight in the eye. Mr. Henderson, your blood test came back positive for HIV. The world around Justin seemed to freeze. He heard the doctor's words but couldn't comprehend their meaning. What? Was all he could manage. You've tested positive for HIV, Dr. Freeman repeated, a flash of sympathy crossing her eyes. Of course, the initial test is not 100% accurate. We need to conduct additional tests to confirm the diagnosis. This is some kind of mistake, Justin said, feeling his heart begin to pound in his chest. I can't be HIV positive. Are you sexually active? The doctor asked bluntly. Justin felt the color drain from his face. Yes, but only with one person. And He fell silent, unable to continue. Do you use protection? Justin lowered his eyes. In the first months of his relationship with Christina, they had always used protection, but gradually they had forgotten about it. She was on birth control pills, and they thought that was enough. Not always, he admitted. Dr. Freeman nodded, making a note in his chart. Mr. Henderson, I understand that this is shocking news, but it's important to remember that HIV is not a death sentence. Modern medications allow you to control the virus and live a full life. Justin could barely hear her. Only one question was spinning in his head. How? How could this have happened to him? We'll schedule some additional tests, Dr. Freeman continued. In the meantime, you need to think about notifying your partner. He or she should also be tested. She, Justin corrected automatically. It's her. All right, the doctor nodded. In that case, your girlfriend needs to get tested as soon as possible. Justin sat there stunned. Christina, should he tell her? But how did he get the virus? He hadn't had any other partners, ever, so... Doctor, he asked hoarsely, how long ago could I have been infected? It's hard to say for sure. The incubation period varies. It could have happened anywhere from a few weeks to several months ago. She paused. Do you suspect you contracted it from your partner? Justin didn't answer. His thoughts were in chaos. If he had contracted it from Christina, that meant she had other partners. She had been lying to him all this time. Mr. Henderson, Dr. Freeman's voice brought him back to reality. I need you to fill out some forms right now. I'll give you a referral for additional tests. I also strongly recommend that you see a psychologist. We have excellent professionals who can help you cope with this news. Justin nodded mechanically as he signed the papers she handed him. Inside, a storm of emotions was brewing. Shock, disbelief, anger, fear. But the strongest feeling was betrayal. Leaving the clinic, he stopped in the middle of the path, not knowing where to go. Around him, university life was in full swing. Students were rushing to class, laughing, chatting. The world continued as if nothing had happened. But for Justin, everything had changed in an instant. He took out his phone and saw a missed call from Christina and a message. Meet me at the cafe at 6? I miss you. Justin felt a lump rise in his throat. He couldn't see her now. He couldn't look her in the eyes, knowing that she might have given him a deadly virus. Instead, he dialed Michael's number. Dude, you look like you've seen a ghost, said Michael Stewart, sitting down across from Justin at a table in the half-empty campus bar. Justin looked up from his untouched glass of water. Michael was the only person he could trust. They had been friends since their freshman year, when they became roommates in the dorm. Michael knew everything about his romance with Christina, his complicated relationship with Lance, his concern for his mother. Worse, Justin replied. Much worse. Michael frowned and leaned forward. What happened? Justin looked around to make sure no one was listening and said quietly, I tested positive for HIV. Michael froze, his face contorted in shock. What? Are you serious? The doctor said I need more tests to confirm it, but the first result is positive. Damn, Michael exhaled, leaning back in his chair. I'm so sorry, Justin. Justin clenched his glass so tightly that his fingers turned white. I don't understand how this could have happened. I've never been with anyone but Christina. Never. Michael paused, considering his words. What about her? He asked cautiously. She said she hadn't been with anyone else since we got together, Justin replied. But now, I don't know what to think. Look, I don't want to say anything bad about Christina, but... Michael faltered, searching for the right words. I heard some talk on campus, even before you two got together. Justin tensed. What kind of talk? Well, people were saying that she, how should I put it, had a lot of partners. Michael raised his hands in a defensive gesture. I'm not saying it's true. You know how it is. Rumors, gossip. Justin felt anger rising inside him. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because it could have been complete nonsense, Michael retorted. And because you were so happy with her, I didn't want to ruin everything because of some stupid rumors. Justin rubbed his temples, feeling a headache coming on. What should I do, Michael? You need to talk to her, Michael said firmly. Ask her straight out if she's been with someone else. And she needs to take a test. What if she lies? What if she's been lying all this time? Michael met his gaze. Then you'll have to decide what to do next. But first talk to her. You deserve the truth. Irv? Justin nodded, but inside he was forming a different decision. Before talking to Christina, he needed to talk to the person who knew him best, his mother. Lillian met her son at a small cafe near the university. Justin had chosen this place deliberately, far away from Lance's house, where they always felt like they were being watched. His mother looked even more exhausted than when they last saw each other. Dark circles had formed under her eyes, and her hands, holding a cup of coffee, were shaking slightly. Are you feeling okay, Mom? Justin asked, sitting down across from her. Lillian tried to smile, but it came out forced. I just didn't get enough sleep, dear. I had another migraine. Maybe you should see another doctor, Justin suggested. These headaches have been going on for too long. Maybe, Lillian replied evasively. But you wanted to talk about something important. What's wrong? Justin took a deep breath. He didn't know how to tell his mother about his diagnosis, about his affair with Christina, about everything he had been hiding from her. Mom, he began quietly, I have something to tell you. Lillian looked at him intently. I'm listening. For the past 6 months, I've been... He stumbled, gathering his courage. I've been seeing Christina. Lillian's face didn't show the shock or surprise Justin had expected. Instead, she closed her eyes and exhaled slowly, as if she had heard confirmation of something she had long suspected. I knew, she said, opening her eyes. Or at least I suspected. I saw the way you look at each other when you think no one is watching. Justin was stunned. And you're not angry? Angry. Lillian shook her head. Justin, you're both adults. You're not related by blood. I can understand why this happened. But society, people will think, society will always find something to gossip about, Lillian interrupted with a sad smile. What matters is how you feel. Are you happy together? Justin looked away. Yesterday, he would have answered yes without hesitation. But now, Mom, there's something else, he said, his voice trembling. I had a medical exam at the university today, and I tested positive for HIV. Lillian gasped, and her hand holding the cup shook, spilling coffee on the table. Oh my God, she whispered. Justin. I don't know what to do, he said, suddenly feeling like a little boy who needed his mother's help. I've only been with Christina, only her. That means... Don't jump to conclusions, Lillian said, covering his hand with hers. Have you talked to Christina? No, I only found out a few hours ago. Justin looked up at her. I'm scared, Mom. I'm scared she betrayed me. Lillian squeezed his hand tighter. Listen to me, Justin. We need to go home and talk about this together. You, me, Christina, and... She paused. And Lance, as a family. Lance? Justin tensed. Why bring him into this? Because he's Christina's father, Lillian said firmly. And because, whether you like it or not, we're all family. Justin wanted to argue, but something in his mother's eyes, a determination he hadn't seen in a long time, made him agree. Okay, he said. Let's talk, all of us. Lillian nodded and took out her phone. I'll call Lance and tell him we're coming home. And that we need to have a serious talk. The house greeted them with an oppressive silence. Lance was waiting in the living room, sitting in his favorite leather chair with a glass of whiskey in his hand. Christina was sitting on the couch, tense and pale. She glanced fearfully at Justin as he followed his mother into the room. What's going on? She asked. Dad said we had a family meeting, but he didn't explain what it was about. Lance took a sip from his glass, keeping his eyes on Justin. Your mother said Justin wants to tell us something. Something important. Justin met his gaze, feeling anger rising inside him. All the resentment he had built up toward Lance over the years, All the suspicions and fears for his mother, the shock of today's diagnosis, it all merged into one powerful emotion. "Yes," he said, turning to Christine. "I want to tell everyone about us." Christine paled even more. "Justin, what are you—" "About your relationship," Lance interrupted, a strange smile appearing on his face. "We already know." Justin froze. "What? Your mother told me a few weeks ago," Lance continued, taking another sip of whiskey. "She was very upset. She thought I'd be furious." He grinned. "But I was more understanding than she expected." Justin looked at his mother, who was standing with her head down, avoiding his gaze. "Why didn't you tell me he knew?" "Because I asked her not to," Lance replied for her. "I wanted to give you time to work things out yourselves. But apparently something has changed." He set his glass on the table. "What exactly did you want to tell us, Justin?" Justin looked at Christina. She sat with her hands clenched into fists, her eyes begging him to remain silent. But he couldn't. "I had a medical exam at the university today," he said, addressing everyone. "I tested positive for HIV. The silence that hung in the room was palpable. Christina covered her mouth with her hand, her eyes wide with horror. Lance leaned forward in his chair, his face hard as a mask. "And you think you got it from my daughter?" he asked quietly, but there was a threat in his voice. "I haven't been with anyone else," Justin replied, not taking his eyes off Christina. "Only her. For 6 months, only her." "That's not true," Christina exclaimed, jumping up from the sofa. "I've never cheated on you, Justin, never." "Then where did I get the virus?" Justin shouted, losing control. "I was a virgin before you. I've never been with anyone else." Lillian stepped between them. "Kids, please, let's talk calmly." "I'm not lying," Christina cried, tears streaming down her face. "Justin, I swear I never cheated on you." "But you had other men before me," Justin said, and it was a statement, not a question. "Many other men, if you believe the rumors on campus." Christina froze, her face contorted with pain. "So you believe the rumors and not me?" "Why should I believe you?" Justin asked, taking a step toward her. "You live a double life. You pretend to be a model daughter in front of your father, but behind his back you sleep with your stepbrother. What else are you hiding, Christina?" "Enough." Lance's voice sounded like a whip crack. He rose from his chair and stood between Justin and Christina. "I won't allow you to speak to my daughter that way." "Why not?" Justin snapped. "Because the truth is too painful?" Lance took a deep breath, clearly holding back his anger. "My daughter has always been impulsive," he said slowly. "She's had a lot of men before you, that's true. Maybe she got infected and didn't know it." He turned to Christina. "You need to get tested." "Dad!" Christina exclaimed indignantly. "You don't believe me either?" "It's not about trust," Lance replied. "It's about facts. Justin is sick and you were together. You need to get tested." "So you admit she could have infected me?" Justin asked, feeling anger welling up inside him. "I admit it's possible," Lance replied dryly. "But she's still my daughter and I'll protect her no matter what." Lillian stepped forward, trying to defuse the situation. "Let's all calm down. It's important that Christina gets tested, and we all need to support Justin in this situation." "Support?" Justin laughed bitterly. "How has Lance supported me all these years? By reminding me at every opportunity that I live under his roof out of his kindness? Or how has Christina supported me, possibly infecting me with a deadly virus?" "I didn't know!" Christina cried through her tears. "If I'm sick, I didn't know it! I would never hurt you on purpose!" "But you did," Justin said, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "And now I have to live with that for the rest of my life, which, by the way, may not be that long." "Stop being so dramatic," Lance said irritably. "HIV isn't a death sentence anymore. With the right treatment, you'll live a normal life." "What kind of normal life?" Justin turned to him, his eyes burning with rage. "A life of constant medication, restrictions, a stigma on my medical record?" "Lance is right," Lillian interjected. "Modern medicine allows—" "Enough!" Justin clenched his fists. "Enough with the everything will be okay! Nothing will be okay! My life is ruined! Justin, please!" Christina took a step toward him, reaching out her hand. "Don't touch me!" he shouted, recoiling. "Don't Don't ever touch me again! Christina stepped back as if he had hit her. New tears streamed down her face. I loved you, she whispered. I loved you with all my heart. If you loved me, you would have been honest with me, Justin replied. You would have told me about your previous partners, about the risks. I didn't think there were any risks, Christina said. I always used protection. Before you. With you it was different. You're lying, Justin said through clenched teeth. You're still lying, even now. Justin! Lillian's voice was filled with pain. Please, let's not jump to conclusions. We should all get tested. Maybe it's a mistake. It's not a mistake, Justin snapped. The doctor was sure, and I know where it came from. He pointed at Christina. From her lies, from her betrayal. I didn't betray you, Christina shouted. I swear. Lance stepped forward, his face dark with anger. Stop blaming my daughter, he thundered. She said she didn't cheat on you, so she didn't. As if you Hendersons don't know how to lie, Justin said contemptuously. Your whole life is one big lie. Watch your mouth, boy, Lance warned quietly. You're in my house. Your house? Justin laughed bitterly. Oh yes, of course. How you love to remind me of that I'm nobody here, that I only live here because you married my mother, that I should be grateful for every piece of bread I eat at your table. Justin, please, Lillian pleaded. Lance didn't mean it. That's exactly what he meant, Justin shouted. He always meant it. And you, he turned to his mother, you just let him treat us like we're his property. Don't you dare talk to your mother like that, Lance warned, taking a step forward. And don't you dare tell me how to talk to my mother. Justin also took a step forward, and now they were face to face. You're not my father. You never were, and you never will be. The tension in the room reached a breaking point. Lillian rushed between the men, trying to separate them. Enough, she exclaimed. Stop this immediately. Christina continued to sob on the sofa, her face covered with her hands. Her shoulders shook with uncontrollable sobs. I didn't cheat on you, Justin, she repeated between sobs. I swear on everything I hold dear. I didn't cheat. Then where did I get it? Justin turned sharply toward her, pushing Lillian aside. Where did I get this virus? I've only been with you. Only with you. I don't know, Christina cried. Maybe it's a mistake at the lab. Maybe... There's no mistake, Justin interrupted her. Dr. Freeman said the result was positive. I'm sick, Christina, and it's because of you. Justin, listen. Lance tried to speak more calmly. My daughter says she hasn't cheated on you, so there must be another explanation. Maybe it was before you two. And she didn't get tested? She didn't tell me about the risks. Justin laughed bitterly. Or maybe she's had so many partners she can't even remember them all. Watch your language, Lance growled. Or maybe, Justin continued, unable to stop himself. Maybe she's been seeing someone else this whole time. Who knows how many lovers she has besides me? Christina rose from the couch, her face contorted with anger and pain. How dare you? She shouted. I loved you. I never ever slept with anyone else after we started dating. And before that, yes, I had relationships, but I was always careful. So careful you caught HIV? Justin sneered. I didn't know! Christina shouted, slamming her fist on the table. If I have the virus, I didn't know about it. I'm a victim just like you. A victim? Justin took a step toward her, his face contorted with rage. Don't you dare call yourself a victim! You ruined my life! Justin, stop! Lillian intervened, trying to hold her son back by the arm. But it was too late. Something broke in Justin's eyes. All the pain, all the betrayal, all the fear of a future with an incurable disease. It all merged into one blind rush of rage. He pushed his mother away and lunged at Christina. You ruined me! He shouted, grabbing her by the shoulders and shaking her. Because of you, I'm going to die! Justin, no! Lillian screamed, trying to pull her son away. Christina screamed, trying to break free from his grip. Her nails scratched his hands, leaving bloody streaks. Then there was a gunshot. The sound was deafening in the confined space of the living room. For a second, everyone froze. Justin slowly turned his head and saw Lance standing with a gun in his hand. The barrel was pointed directly at him. Let her go, my daughter, Lance said clearly, enunciating each word. Justin slowly unclenched his fingers, and Christina recoiled from him, pressing herself against the wall. "Put the gun down, Lance," Lillian said quietly, taking a cautious step toward her husband. "Let's talk calmly." "Calmly?" Lance laughed, keeping the gun pointed at Justin. "He just attacked my daughter." "He's just upset," Lillian continued, her voice trembling. "The news about his illness shocked him. He's not himself." "He's dangerous," Lance snapped. "He's dangerous to Christina." "Dad," Christina stepped forward, her face wet with tears. "Put the gun down, please." "Stay where you are, Christina," Lance ordered. "This conversation is over. Justin, you're going to pack your things and get out of my house. Today." "No!" Lillian exclaimed. "He's my son. He's not going anywhere." "This is my house," Lance reminded her, keeping his eyes on Justin. "And I decide who lives here." "Then I'll leave with him," Lillian declared, standing next to her son. Something dark flashed in Lance's eyes. "So, you're choosing him?" he asked quietly. "I'm choosing my son," Lillian said firmly. "He needs help right now, not threats." "After everything I've done for you," Lance continued in the same quiet, dangerous voice. "After all the years I've provided for you, given you a roof over your head, paid for his education." "I already told you I have a scholarship," Justin snapped. "I don't need anything from you." "Justin, be quiet," Lillian asked, keeping her eyes on the gun in Lance's hand. "No, Mom." Justin took a step forward, ignoring the gun pointed at him. "I won't shut up. He humiliated us for years, made us feel like nobodies, dependent on his mercy. And now that his daughter has infected me with a deadly disease, he's kicking us out of the house?" Justin laughed dryly, bitterly. "You know what? I'll leave on my own, and I'll take Mom with me. We won't be your—" A gunshot cut him off mid-sentence. The sound was deafening. Justin felt a blow to his chest, as if someone had pushed him with all their strength. He looked down and saw a blurry red stain on his shirt. "No!" Lillian's cry sounded like the howl of a wounded animal. She rushed to her son, managing to catch him as his knees buckled and he began to fall. They fell to the floor together. Justin, look at me," Lillian whispered, pressing her hand against his wound, but blood seeped through her fingers. "Hold on, son, hold on." Justin looked at his mother, but her face was blurring before his eyes. He tried to say something, but only a gurgling sound came out of his mouth. He could taste the metallic taste of blood on his tongue. "Lance, call an ambulance!" Lillian screamed, not taking her eyes off her son. "Quick!" Lance stood motionless, the gun still in his hand. His face was expressionless. "Dad!" Christina whispered in horror. "What have you done?" Lance looked at his daughter, and something in his eyes made her take a step back. "He won't hurt you anymore," he said calmly. "Lance, help me!" Lillian screamed, trying to stop the bleeding. "He's dying!" Lance slowly approached them. Justin felt a chill spread through his body. Dark spots floated before his eyes. He heard his mother's sobs as if from a distance. The last thing he saw was Lance standing over them with the gun pointed down. "I'm sorry, Lillian," Lance said quietly, "but I can't let you destroy our family." Another shot rang out. Christina froze, unable to believe what was happening. Two bodies lay on the floor in front of her, Justin and Lillian, both in pools of blood. Her father stood over them, still clutching the gun in his hand. "Dad?" Her voice was barely audible. What have you done?" Lance turned to her, and his expression changed. The severity melted away, and before her stood the father she had known since childhood, caring, loving. "Everything will be all right, sweetheart," he said, taking a step toward her. "I protected you." "Protected me?" Christina backed away, her legs trembling. "You killed them. You killed Justin and Lillian." "He attacked you," Lance reminded her, as if that explained everything. "And she chose his side." "But that's no reason to kill them," Christina cried, her voice breaking into sobs. Oh God, they're dead!" Lance put the gun on the table and walked over to his daughter. His hands were covered in blood, but he took her by the shoulders anyway. "Listen to me, Christina," he said firmly. "I did this for you. Everything I do is for you." "For me?" she whispered, feeling nauseous. "I loved Lillian very much," Lance continued, a shadow of regret flashing across his eyes. "But you are my daughter. You mean more to me than anything else in the world. I couldn't let him hurt you." "Justin, he was just in shock," Christina muttered, her gaze returning again and again to the motionless bodies on the floor. "He would have calmed down. We would have worked it out." "He accused you of infecting him with HIV, Lance said, his voice hardening. "He wanted to disgrace you, ruin your reputation, your future." "But what if it's true?" Christina whispered. "What if I really am sick and didn't know it?" Lance shook his head. "That doesn't matter now. What matters is what we do next." He let go of her and took his phone out of his pocket. "I'm going to call Darius," he said, in a businesslike tone. "He'll come with some people and help us clean everything up." "Clean up?" Christina looked at him in confusion. "The bodies, the blood, everything," Lance explained as he dialed the number. "No one will ever know what happened here." "But the police?" "No police," Lance said firmly. "We'll say that Lillian and Justin left. Maybe they went back to their old house or moved to another state. No one will look too hard for a grown man and his mother who just decided to move." "You're crazy," Christina whispered, backing away even further. This is murder. Double murder." "It's protecting the family," Lance argued. "My family. You." The phone connected and he spoke, turning away from his daughter. "Darius, it's me. I need your help." "Urgent. Yes, at the house. Bring Marcus and Taryn with you, and everything you need for cleaning up." He ended the call and turned to Christina. "They'll be here in 20 minutes, he said. "In the meantime, we need to gather all of Justin and Lillian's belongings that we might need for their cover story." Christina stood motionless, her gaze fixed on Justin's face. Even in death, it expressed pain and disbelief. The man she loved was dead, because of her father. The sound of a car pulling up broke the silence. Lance looked out the window. "That's Darius," he said. "Everything will be all right, Christina. I promise." He went out to meet his men, leaving Christina alone in the room with the bodies of Justin and Lillian. She slowly knelt down beside them, her hands trembling. "I'm sorry," she whispered, touching Justin's cold hand. "I didn't know. I really didn't know I was sick. I would never have hurt you on purpose. I loved you." The front door opened and 3 men entered the house. Darius Parker, Lance's assistant and confidant, nodded to Christina as he passed her. He was followed by 2 others, the huge, muscular Taron and the thin but wiry Marcus. All 3 wore black gloves, and Marcus carried large plastic bags and rolls of plastic wrap. "Miss Henderson," Darius said calmly, "you'd better go up to your room. This isn't something you should see." Christina stood up, her knees trembling. Lance stood in the doorway, watching her. "Go on, honey," he said. "Get some rest. In the morning this will all be just a bad dream." Christina walked past him without saying a word. As she climbed the stairs, she heard Darius giving orders to his men. "Theron, wrap the bodies in plastic. Marcus, take care of the blood. Mr. Henderson, we'll need their belongings, something personal that they supposedly took with them when they left." Her steps quickened, and by the time she reached her room, Christina was running. Slamming the door shut, she leaned against it and slid to the floor, choking on her sobs. Justin was dead. Lillian was dead. And her father, the man she had known all her life, had killed them both in cold blood and was now going to dispose of their bodies as if they were nothing, and all for her.